Hey, good morning, folks. How you doing? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. I wanted to go over one of my favorite setups that I like to use during earnings play. This is one of the key things that we teach in our trading boot camp, and I really focus on this with my traders, is to be able to find stocks that are in play. So every morning, I do a scan for stocks that have some type of earnings, some type of PR, as those stocks will have order flow that moves independent to the market. And so no matter what's going on in the market, because that has a near-term catalyst, what you'll see is stocks making significant moves based on those earnings. And when you marry that with the things that we know about technical analysis, all of a sudden when you can marry them together, you get a really, really powerful setup, and your trading setups will tend to move cleaner too. So I wanted to go over a trade that we found at HLF. So every morning I run a scan here to see like kind of what's moving pre-market and what type of stocks are busting up on earnings. And so, one of the things that, we were playing the other day was HLF. So, HLF, let me find the chart here. HLF, hold on here. There it is. So HLF, had a really, really big move. Had been trending for a while, ran its 200-day moving average, and you can see this monster gap down because of earnings. And so a stock opens up at about $48. And so that gap tells me that this stock's right in play. It's got some type of PR out there. And so one of the things I start to do is I'll start to stock the stock at the open for some type of entry. So you can see it busted down at the open and then had a little bit of squeeze to 48. That's really common, as you're going to have these shorts start to cover. And so now I start to do is I start to look for some type of entry point here to really, really manage my risk, but then to get into a high probability situation where we might catch a flush. And so once I see my pattern form, I take a short position of 700 shares here at $47.15. My first initial target will be down at $46, and then what we'll want to do is let the stock play out and see what we can get out of it. My personal way that I like to trade is I always like to be taking profits. So I have half my trade, which is called an income trade. So I sell half and take my profits, and then I let the rest really go, and I look for some type of reversal before I get out of the trade. So, that's kind of our initial batch of trades. This is what we would call an ORB, or an opening range breakdown. Then what you can see here later on in the day is that the stock consolidated pretty much all day, pretty much all day, and it could not break kind of below this 44 level. And so we have a giant consolidation here that lasts hours and hours and hours. So yesterday, as this stock opened up right below this consolidation zone, I take a short in the 43.80s, just 1,000 shares. I'm more of a singles and doubles hitters, and my risk is going to be really low because, see, you've got your consolidation here, and so you're only going to risk really a handful of cents. I had about a 20-cent stop loss, on this particular stock, maybe 25. So very little risk. I'm going to risk $250 for the potential to really make thousands. And so, as is my custom, as we get our first flush, I always like to cover half into it, and then I put a stop in my buy price and really let the rest develop. And you can see here, you got a really nice, easy trender, all the way down to 41. And so, I let this thing really ride around 41. And then when it starts to round up and, I start to see a signal that maybe a potential reversal could come in, I'll cover up the rest of my shares. And so, we got out of the rest of our shares in the low 41s, taking a really nice, almost $3 rip on this just very, very simple setup. So that's the reason that I like to play, earnings plays. Now, the thing is, at this time of year, you're going to have hundreds of stocks making moves pre-market on earnings and stuff. And so you got to really be able to filter out, which ones are the best ones. And so I like to look for stocks that have great daily charts, stocks that have a pretty good story, stocks that I know in the past have made these type of significant moves so that I'm not stuck in some junk. And then, of course, it's got to have the proper volume so that I can get in and out easily with some size without having to get all shaken out. You know, liquidity is always going to be big. So a very simple setup, guys. And you can see actually, you know, I had taken off at the end of the day, but we ended up getting another consolidation play that you could have taken for, you know, another quick trade later in the day. Really simple stuff. I think one of the things that people do is they really make trading into something that's really difficult. But if you can learn and play a few simple patterns and techniques, you can extract money out of the market every single day. You know, I've been trading this type of setup for almost 10 years, and it's made me a ton of money, and it's a fairly easy thing to learn. So that's it for now, guys. You know, leave some comments if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the chat room today.